3CX configuration tips for seamless VoIP termination. Voice over Internet Protocol, VoIP, technology has become an essential part of modern business communication. It allows voice communication to take place over the Internet, replacing traditional landlines and offering significant advantages in terms of cost, flexibility, and scalability. One of the key elements of a VoIP system is VoIP termination, which is the process of routing calls from a VoIP network to the public switched telephone network, PSTN, or mobile networks. The success of VoIP termination depends largely on how well the system is configured, and 3CX is one of the most widely used platforms for managing VoIP systems. 3CX is a software-based PBX, private branch exchange, that provides a unified communication solution, including VoIP termination. Proper configuration of 3CX is essential to ensure smooth, high-quality, and cost-effective VoIP termination. This article will explore configuration tips for 3CX to ensure seamless VoIP termination, covering aspects such as network setup, SIP trunk configuration, security measures, call routing, and troubleshooting. 1. Network and infrastructure setup. A successful VoIP system, including 3CX, depends heavily on the quality and configuration of your network infrastructure. Poor network performance can lead to delays, jitter, packet loss, and degraded voice quality. Therefore, it is crucial to set up the network properly before configuring 3CX for VoIP termination. A. Ensure sufficient bandwidth. Voice calls, especially high-definition, HD, calls, consume a significant amount of bandwidth. Make sure that your internet connection has enough capacity to handle the anticipated call volume and data traffic. Bandwidth calculations will depend on the codec you are using and the number of concurrent calls you expect to handle. For example, an average VoIP call using the G.711 codec requires approximately 100 to 120 kilobits per second of bandwidth in both upload and download directions. If you are using more compressed codecs like G.729, this will be lower, but it is still important to estimate usage based on expected traffic. B. Quality of service, QoS configuration. VoIP traffic must be prioritized over other types of data traffic in your network to maintain high-quality calls. Quality of service, QoS, is a set of network features that prioritize voice packets over other data packets to ensure minimal delay, jitter, and packet loss. Configure your router and switch settings to prioritize VoIP traffic using the Differentiated Services Code Point (DSCP). Common QoS settings for VoIP traffic are: 1. DSCP-46, expedited forwarding, for voice traffic. 2. DSCP-34, assured forwarding, for signaling traffic. Make sure your network devices such as routers and firewalls are configured to respect these DSCP markings. This ensures that VoIP packets will be handled with higher priority than regular Internet traffic. C. Configure NAT, network address translation, and firewall for 3CX to function properly, especially in environments behind a router or firewall. NAT traversal must be configured. 3CX supports multiple methods for dealing with NAT, such as STUN, ICE, and SIP-ALG, application layer gateway. Each of these methods helps the system to detect and communicate with devices that are behind routers and firewalls. 1. STUN, Session Traversal Utilities for NAT, is one of the most common methods used by 3CX for NAT traversal. 2. SIP-ALG, SIP application layer gateway, is often enabled on many routers, but it can sometimes cause issues with VoIP calls. 2. It is advisable to disable SIP-ALG on your router/firewall, as it may interfere with 3CX's SIP traffic. Additionally, make sure that port forwarding is properly configured on your firewall. The essential ports for 3CX operation include: 1. 5060 SIP signaling. 2. 5061 encrypted SIP signaling. 3. 9,000 to 10,999 RTP range for audio. 2. SIP trunk configuration. The core component of VoIP termination in 3CX is the SIP trunk. A SIP trunk allows the 3CX system to connect to external telephony networks, including the PSTN, mobile networks, and other VoIP services. A. Choosing a SIP trunk provider. Before configuring the SIP trunk, you need to choose a reliable and cost-effective SIP trunk provider that supports the regions and networks you intend to terminate calls to. When selecting a provider, consider 1. Voice quality. Look for a provider that offers clear and reliable voice service with low latency and minimal jitter. 2. Global coverage. Ensure that the provider can offer termination to your target countries or regions. 3. Pricing. Compare pricing structures for international, national, and mobile terminations. 3. Many providers offer flexible pay-as-you-go models. B. Adding a SIP trunk to 3CX. Once you've chosen a provider, you can add the SIP trunk to 3CX. Here's how to ensure smooth SIP trunk configuration. 1. Go to the 3CX Management Console, navigate to SIP trunks, and click Add SIP trunk. 2. Select the appropriate country, provider, and trunk type. 2. 3CX has pre-configured templates for many popular SIP providers, which can automatically fill in many of the required fields. 3. Enter the authentication details, including the SIP server address, username, and password, provided by your SIP trunk provider. See outbound rules and call routing. Once the SIP trunk is configured, it is essential to create outbound rules for managing call routing. Outbound rules determine how 3CX handles outgoing calls and which trunk to use for different destinations. 1. Set up outbound rules based on the dial patterns that match the destination you want to call. 1. For example, you may create separate rules for local, national, and international calls. 2. Configure prefixes for each type of call. 2. For example, a prefix of 0 could be used for national calls, and 00 for international calls. 3. Adjust the call priority for each outbound rule to ensure that calls are routed through the most cost-effective and high-quality trunk available. D. Inbound routes. To ensure that inbound calls are routed correctly, configure inbound rules in 3CX. These rules allow you to specify how incoming calls should be handled based on the phone number dialed, whether it's a DID, direct inward dialing, number, or a toll-free number. 1. For example, you might route calls to a specific department or extension based on the DID number, or forward calls to a voicemail box during off hours. 3. Security configuration. Security is a critical aspect of VoIP systems, and 3CX provides several features to protect your VoIP termination and communications systems from attacks such as toll fraud, eavesdropping, and denial of service (DOS) attacks. A. SIP account security. Ensure that each SIP account on your 3CX system has a strong, unique password to prevent unauthorized access. Avoid using default passwords provided by the SIP trunk provider. Use complex passwords that combine letters, numbers, and special characters. B. Encryption. 3CX supports SRTP, Secure Real-Time Transport Protocol, and TLS, Transport Layer Security, encryption for securing voice traffic, and SIP signaling. Enabling these encryption options ensures that your voice conversations are protected from eavesdropping. 1. SRTP encrypts the voice packets to prevent anyone from listening in on the call. 2. TLS encrypts the SIP signaling, ensuring that the call setup process is protected. These encryption methods should be enabled in the 3CX Management Console under the SIP trunk settings and extension settings. C. Firewall and intrusion detection. Ensure your firewall is configured correctly to block unwanted traffic while allowing necessary VoIP traffic to pass through. Additionally, 3CX offers an intrusion detection system, IDS, that can detect suspicious activity, such as excessive registration attempts or calls to unusual destinations. Configure the 3CX firewall checker to verify that your firewall settings are correct and that the necessary ports are open. 4. Call quality monitoring and troubleshooting. To ensure that VoIP termination works seamlessly, it is important to constantly monitor call quality and address any issues promptly. A. Call quality monitoring. 3CX provides a comprehensive suite of tools for monitoring call quality. The 3CX Call Reports feature provides detailed data on call statistics, including call duration, quality, and failed calls. You can use this data to identify patterns or issues with specific trunks or regions. Additionally, 3CX real-time monitoring allows you to observe call quality in real time, including metrics such as MOS, mean opinion score, jitter, and packet loss. Monitoring these metrics helps you identify and address any issues with call quality as soon as they arise. B. Troubleshooting common issues. Several common issues may arise during VoIP termination, such as 1. No audio or one-way audio. This can be caused by misconfigured NAT settings or firewall issues. 1. Ensure that NAT and port forwarding are configured correctly. 2. Drop calls or call quality degradation. This could be due to bandwidth limitations or network congestion. 2. Verify your internet connection and ensure that QoS is configured correctly. 3. Registration issues. If the SIP trunk fails to register, double-check your credentials, server addresses, and firewall settings. 3CX offers built-in troubleshooting tools to help you identify and resolve common issues. The system log provides detailed information about system events and errors, while the 3CX analyzer can help you run diagnostic tests on your system. 5. Regular updates and maintenance. To keep your 3CX system running smoothly, ensure that you apply regular updates. 3CX regularly releases updates to improve system performance, security, and functionality. These updates may include bug fixes, new features, and compatibility improvements with SIP trunk providers. Additionally, routine maintenance tasks, such as checking for firmware updates on your network equipment, routers, switches, etc., and reviewing system logs should be part of your regular configuration practices. Conclusion: configuring 3CX for seamless VoIP termination requires careful planning and attention to detail across multiple areas, including network setup, SIP trunk configuration, security measures, call routing, and troubleshooting. By following these best practices, businesses can ensure high-quality, reliable, and cost-effective VoIP termination. Whether you're a small business or a large enterprise, a well-configured 3CX system will provide the foundation for efficient and secure voice communication, helping you stay connected with customers, colleagues, and partners around the world.